No parent should ever have to decide if they can afford to save their child's life.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the best examples of talk show hosts telling it like it is, making great points, and or delivering a universal message.
It's my responsibility to stand up against intolerance.
Number 10, Stephen Colbert's tribute to Stephen Sondheim, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.
My next guest this evening is the greatest composer and lyricist in the history of the American theater.
Anyone who loves musical theater will tell you the late Stephen Sondheim was one of the art form's greatest minds.
Someone to hold you too close. Someone to hurt you too deep.
Here, Stephen Colbert welcomes the composer/lyricist to talk about his career and a book about Sunday in the Park with George.
What's your favorite part about working with Lapine?
Oh, James is, he's a generation younger than I, and he will go anywhere. He'll try anything.
Colbert also pays tribute to Sondheim by reading the blurb he wrote.
Thank you for that. That blurb is great.
His words highlight Sondheim's ability to celebrate creativity itself, along with how the artist's work personally inspired him.
I couldn't sing like Mandy Patinkin, I couldn't compose like Sondheim, I couldn't write or direct like James Lapine. But like Seurat's Hat, that play was a window from this world to that.
It's lovely to watch the guest so touched by the message. Not only does Colbert provide a fantastic description, but his words allow him to articulate what so many fans wish they could have told the legend personally.
And I will always be grateful to you for laying out the desire and the beauty of the act of creation itself.
Number 9, Jimmy Kimmel asks George W. Bush about UFOs. Jimmy Kimmel Live. It's not every day that you get to ask a former president questions.
I have so many questions for you.
Jimmy Kimmel takes full advantage of the situation, questioning George W. Bush on the government's potential alien documents.
Did you go through the secret files, the UFO documents? Because if I was president, that'd be the first thing I did.
It's a topic that Kimmel looks especially excited to ask about. While Bush doesn't give a straight answer, he does mention how his daughters wanted to know the same thing.
You know, it's funny, my daughters asked the very same question.
They did?
Yeah.
Would you be allowed to tell your daughters what was in those files?
No.
We can't blame the host for being curious about any secret files regarding extraterrestrials. Of course, it's only expected that the politician would dodge the answer.
But I'm not telling you.
You're not telling You're not telling me what? Are you not telling me that you looked at them?
I'm not telling you nothing.
But it leads to a humorous exchange nonetheless.
The funny man.
Plus, we were all wondering. Number 8, David Letterman deals with Harmony Korine. Late Show with David Letterman.
Here he is, Harmony Korine. Harmony!
With filmmaker Harmony Korine joining David Letterman, The Late Show heads into absurd territory.
I don't know.
It doesn't take long for Korine to reveal his more free-spirited and laid-back style. As the interview begins to defy explanation, Letterman tries to get it back on track with a question about Korine's new project.
Tell the folks what it is and then tell me where it came from.
Well, it's funny it's strange because I guess it's controversial, but I don't know. I just wanted to make a sequel to Caddyshack.
The latter's response prompts the host to come back with a hilarious joke about the entire segment.
Okay, with that as background, now if we could tell us about the movie.
Both truthful and hilarious, the comments feel like the only way anyone can make sense of this appearance.
How do you get it turned into a motion picture?
Oh, I'm not sure.
That doesn't mean that we don't also love watching the chaos unfold, though.
You know, I could pretty much have this conversation with myself.
Number 7, Dick Cavett responds to Lester Maddox. The Dick Cavett Show.
Mr. Brown asked you, Governor Maddox, if you'd had any trouble from your white admirers for the fact that you have done some things.
He didn't say admirers, sir.
No, he said bigots.
Well, why didn't you say it like he said?
During a tense interview on The Dick Cavett Show, Governor Lester Maddox talks with Jim Brown and the host about race. Brown asks if Maddox's supposedly inclusive views have angered any, quote, white bigots, while Cavett calls those same people the politician's, quote, admirers.
We got over 4 million people in Georgia that are of my friends, and I call admirers, and you calling them all bigots.
No, I'm not.
Now you apologize to them.
No, I won't.
All right.
This key change in vocabulary causes Maddox to ask for an apology.
Oh, no, don't. Please. No.
You better apologize.
Sit down, I'll explain it.
Unwilling to change his stance, the presenter offers up a clever comeback. This infuriates the Southern politician to no end as he threatens to leave.
I hope you'll stay.
Not only is it great to watch the infamous man squirm, it's fun to see him walk off after Cavett basically doubles down. The latter finds the best way possible to tell off a segregationist.
I'm sorry the governor left. He may be back after this message. We will.
Number 6. Jay Leno confronts Hugh Grant. The Tonight Show with Jay Leno.
As I say, I've done an abominable thing, and she's been amazing about it. And contrary to what I read in the paper today, she's being very supportive, and we're going to try and work it out.
After being caught with a sex worker, Hugh Grant found himself in a major scandal. His appearance on The Tonight Show afterwards comes with a healthy dose of shame and humor at his own expense.
What the hell were you thinking?
Jay Leno doesn't waste much time stating the obvious either, offering up a question that sets the tone for the interview. The host finds a way to cut to the chase and deal directly with the problem. It arguably rips the Band-Aid off, forcing Grant to address the issue right away.
I think that would be bollocks, really, to hide behind something like that. I think you know in life pretty much what's a good thing to do and what's a bad thing, and I did a bad thing, and there you have it.
Leno's choices here ultimately lead to the guest offering up one of his more endearing moments. By tackling the topic with humor and honesty, the comedian helps to mend the British actor's career.
Thank you for coming. Terrific sport. And good luck to you. Good luck to you.
Number 5. Jimmy Fallon talks about Charlottesville. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon.
What happened over the weekend in Charlottesville, Virginia was just disgusting.
He's best known for his upbeat show. But Jimmy Fallon can also speak out about serious events. The host discusses the racist and hateful tragedy that came out of Charlottesville, Virginia. He criticizes then-President Trump's response time.
The fact that it took the president 2 days to come out and clearly denounce racists and white supremacists is shameful.
While also focusing on the importance of people not ignoring the issue.
It's important for everyone, especially white people in this country, to speak out against this.
Fallon's speech delivers the kind of sensible and forward-thinking message that people need to hear.
Ignoring it is just as bad as supporting it.
In the face of hatred, we must all stand up to fight back for what's good and right. He ends the poignant monologue with a unifying message to be aware, principled, civil, kind, and not move backwards.
Stand up for what is right and civil and kind, and to show the next generation that we haven't forgotten how hard people have fought for human rights. We cannot do this. We can't go backward.
Number 4. Conan on Las Vegas attack. Conan.
We all woke up to some absolutely devastating news.
Following the tragedy in Las Vegas, Conan O'Brien opened his show with a serious statement.
When I began in 1993, occasions like this were extremely rare.
With a graceful and articulate delivery, O'Brien discusses how many times he's had to make these kinds of addresses.
How could there be a file of mass shooting remarks for a late-night host?
He also specifically asks how this kind of violence could happen in a civilized society.
I don't think it should be so easy for one demented person to kill so many people so quickly.
It's the kind of statement that hits home for Americans who have lived through a plethora of awful events. The host doesn't pretend to be anything more than a comedian, but he does relate another common opinion that these attacks must stop.
Something needs to change.
His ability to boil these feelings down into a relatable monologue hits home.
Sorry I have to come out and set this tone, and I thank you very much for listening.
Number 3. Jimmy Kimmel speaks about healthcare. Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Before I go into it, I want you to know it has a happy ending, okay?
In 2017, Jimmy Kimmel recounted his son Billy's birth and subsequent heart problems.
The story to tell about something that happened to our family last week. I'm sorry, I try not to get emotional, but it was a scary story.
It's a stirring story that inspires the host to discuss American healthcare. He speaks out on behalf of people that struggle to pay for their children's needs, sharing a universal statement about everyone deserving care no matter how much they make.
We were brought up to believe that we live in the greatest country in the world, but until a few years ago, millions and millions of us had no access to health insurance at all.
That's something everybody can agree with, regardless of their beliefs. Kimmel's brave stance here dismantles the cracks in the US healthcare system, but also presents a hopeful idea about how it could be better.
This isn't football. There are no teams. We are the team. It's the United States.
Importantly, the segment drew national attention and supportive responses from public figures after it first aired.
If your baby is going to die, and it doesn't have to, it shouldn't matter how much money you make. I think that's something that, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or something else, we all agree on that, right? I mean, we do.
Number 2, Craig Ferguson gets real. The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson.
News of today is so horrendous that it would seem insensitive at best to say it's a great day for America.
Even with one of the silliest shows in late night, Craig Ferguson still managed to offer up important insights. These include his opening monologue about the Boston Marathon bombings. In response to the violent attack, Ferguson asks a simple and profound question.
Is anyone else sick of I seem to have to say that too often.
He doesn't need to use comedy to make an important point about society. Summing up the thoughts of many, he emphasizes being done with such senseless acts of violence.
And I know when people say, oh, we don't know if it's a terrorist. Yes, we do.
It's unfortunate that this question continues to be relevant all these years later. Thankfully, by being honest about the situation, the presenter doesn't sugarcoat his feelings about the event or how to talk about it.
Whoever did that thing wasn't doing it for any other reason. I mean, clearly they failed in achieving the number of deaths and carnage that they were trying to get.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Jon Stewart calls out Congress. ABC News.
And you should be ashamed of yourselves.
For many years, Jon Stewart promoted legislation that gave 9/11 first responders and survivors much-needed medical funding. This speech encapsulates years of heartbreak as Congress repeatedly failed to protect this plan.
Shameful.
Stewart embarks on an incredible monologue, calling out DC for their mistakes, holding back tears as he talks about the victims' personal stories.
He couldn't walk, and the disrespect shown to him and to the other lobbyists on this bill is utterly unacceptable.
It's hard not to agree with the comedian as he asks why heroes can't get adequate help.
It's an embarrassment to the country, and it is a stain on this institution.
By the end of his remarks, The Daily Show host has put everything into a succinct package. He wants US politicians to do their jobs just like the brave people that did theirs on September 11th, 2001.
This hearing should be flipped. These men and women should be up on that stage, and Congress should be down here answering their questions as to why this is so damn hard.
Speaking out for extraordinary individuals, Stewart criticizes the political gridlock that causes citizens pain.
They did their jobs with courage, grace, tenacity, humility. 18 years later, do yours.
Did we forget another time a talk show host said what we were all thinking? Let us know in the comments.
It was great fun to meet you. Yeah. And continued success. And you must be, oh, sure.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.